Hey, HR friends, welcome back. So we're in day three of the 3-3 emotional 6.5 day sequence. Now, I wish I could say we're through the toughest part here, but we're not. We've got a lot to talk about here today, and we're going to start, as always, with the electromagnetic polarity points or these polarity moments. Okay. So you can see that day one and two have been eventful, especially in the first person. You see how agitation has stayed elevated, bumping up into that four range. We also have some up and down movement here in the third person, and when you combine them, you can see that we're definitely at that four mark and above. Now, at the start of this next 24-hour period, I want you to see that this jumps up to seven, to a range of seven. And you can see that this is that first person agitation that we warned you about in the last 24 hours. So not only did we have an emotional polarity moment that kept this elevated here, but what you see here, this elevation that you see happening here at the first person right here, this has to do with polarity that's happening at the micro M. This is messing with our mental rhythms. So this is definitely going to create agitation. This is definitely going to get things going in a direction where we need to be cautious and make sure we're staying calm and that we're trying to work our differences out. And you can see that there's going to be quite a peak here at the beginning of this 24-hour period. In addition to that, we're also going to have a polarity moment here that's going to start to fire as well on the emotional side in the third person perspective. So again, this dual elevation is really going to set things off. Now, as we switch through here, we've finally been going long enough that the current now has been going for about 2 days, so that jet lag experience should at least be over. But because of the offset between the polarity of the emotional and the polarity of the mental, that's what's keeping this day three and moving into day four and five. You can see this whole entire sequence, the 3-3 sequence, is going to be difficult. Now, in the last 24 hours, we talked about how we were going to see weather and all kinds of things going on in all over the world as far as tensions rising. Yeah, that's held true. And in addition to this, we're not out of the woods yet here, okay? I tried to warn everybody, this is going to be a tough set right here, and this 3-3 is going to lead right into another one that's not going to be any easier. It's actually going to elevate even more. You can see that we're going to end with elevation more than we actually started here. So, very, very, very important. We are sharing this. Health Reconnected is committed to this. We want you to know when these unseen polarity moments are happening because this is what's organizing the chaos around us. Chaos in our society, this is what's amplifying our weather. If you can't understand how those two things are affected or attached to each other, I'm going to briefly describe it for you. You see, as individuals, we obviously affect our small spheres of people, but when all the individuals around the world are being affected by these polarity moments, and we're all being duped or we're all being tricked into being defensive, and we all do it at the same time, that is creating the amplification in all of the catastrophes and weather disasters that we're feeling. That's how these two things are associated. Space-time math is proportional. And each individual person is absolutely essential and contributes to the overall collective experience. And because we have so many individuals right now that are unaware, we're all aware of this. Health Reconnected is literally trying to make the world aware of this unseen pattern so that we can slow this negative feedback loop down. Okay. We cannot make these polarity points go away. We can prepare you for them, and we can explain why it's so important that you don't react to them. If you react to these polarity moments, all it's doing is tricking you into stressing yourself out and stressing all the people around you out. And what that's doing is it's accelerating your aging and it's ensuring that you're going to have future states of disease and it's making it unpleasant for all of us as this is happening. Okay. So that's the explanation. And if you've been looking here, again, every time we transition into these new awarenesses, this is when we see the biggest events happen, and then it's gonna kinda tail off, and then we're gonna see another event. In this case, I'm gonna say it one more time. This 3-3 is not gonna calm down because of the E flip, the capital E or the macro E, and now because of this M flip that's happening and another E flip that's happening, this is really gonna continue through the whole 6.5 day period. Tough, tough week in front of us here, and we really, really want to pay attention because things are definitely going to peak here in this first 24-hour period. All right, that's enough about that. let's get down here and talk about objectives. So objective in space-time reality is pretty simplistic to understand. It's just very, very hard to do. Why is it so hard to do? Because of the polarity moments up there we just talked about. We've got a defensive system of control strapped to our body, which means those polarity moments are manipulating us and forcing us to fight with each other. They agitate us, and that's what's organizing and allowing us to make such accurate predictions about when weather is going to go up or when shootings are going to increase. That's how that's happening. Now, if we want to slow that stuff down, then we really have to, one, not overinvest in our defensive reactions. In fact, if you're going to run away from a problem, you're making a mistake. And if you're going to argue and make your problem worse, you've made a mistake. And what mistake have you made? Well, what you've done is you've created dysfunction within our interconnected family or our interconnected team. Now, we're all connected to the same mathematical sequence, which means we need to be treating each other equally and working together and helping each other work out our differences. If you have any family member, any community member, any overall team member in your life, and you know that they're having problems in one of their relationships where it's causing stress and tension, you would want to talk to them about that and encourage them and say, hey, we got to let that go. We got to work this out. And what is our team supposed to be doing? You see, the team has to work together. Otherwise, it's not really a team, just like a family needs to work together. And we need all of our families to start to understand this together because we need this team approach. And what are we supposed to be doing? As a team, we're supposed to be balancing our choices. So if you help somebody get over their stress and help smooth out their relationship, but you're not also encouraging them to balance their perspectives and to make a routine where they're equally investing in family, individual, world, and national strategy, well, then we're not doing the whole objective. Why is that important? So, as individuals, if we fail to get along with our teammates, and as individuals, if we fail to create a routine that's balanced, then if you're out of balance, then your quadrants of your body will be negatively affected. So if you're wondering why your right lower quadrant hurts, don't wonder anymore. It's imbalance between family and son perspectives. If you're having problems with your lower left quadrant, that has to do with daughters and individual perspectives. Right upper quadrant, father, world perspectives. Left upper quadrant, mother, national perspectives. This is not hard to understand, but I understand how extremely difficult it's to do this when everybody is reacting to these polarity moments and drawing us in and trying to get us to fight. This is not supposed to be easy. Space-time reality is a challenge, and it's a challenge to see if you can overcome your defensive design or the unconscious control system of control that's manipulating you. If you can use your conscious awareness and your willpower to stop yourself from doing that, and the reward for doing that is slowing aging, it's reversing or stopping the progression of the diseases or the conditions you're currently dealing with. And if you can commit to this and do this until the day you die, so if you decide, you know what, I'm going to play as a team, everybody's part of my team, and I understand what the objective is, and you do that, well, when this life is over, then you get to get out of this negative feedback loop. Now, we've clearly outlined how this works on healthreconnected.com. We have the mathematical evidence that shows this, and the best part is this: these graphs that we're going to go over now. So we're going to talk about the 24-hour segment here. So what this allows us to do is it allows us to prove to you that you're in a biofeedback system. So for example, we can show and come back and confirm that mass shootings, for example, happen on peaks, just like this one right here. Now, I'm saying this, hoping and crossing my fingers that I'm not going to be doing a confirmation video that's going to prove this to you, but I'm telling you again and again and again, since we've started doing these broadcasts, this is when social tension and when tragedies and when gun violence is happening because we're being defensively activated to act out and do things that we're later going to regret. No doubt about it. Now, the other thing that we're really focused on here, besides making sure that you have accurate information to know when all these peaks are, because if you know when these peaks are coming or you have access to technology that tells you when they're coming, then you can stop yourself from being duped by them. As always, we list all 24 time zones. Those time zones will align these times with the peaks. All you do is you come down here, you find your time zone. Now, that's what you use if you don't have good internet all day long. If you're in a rural area and or your phone has spotty, internet connection, or you can't afford it. If you can get to internet, you would wanna just take a snapshot of this on your phone, and then you have it with you all day long, and then you know when these peaks are coming. If you have internet, you use our live feed. Right? You can go to our webpage, healthreconnected.com. There's a time bar that runs through this real time. It's set to universal time. The only thing you have to do is just see where the time bar is. If the time bar is one of these elevated peaks and you're in the middle of a conversation that's going south, you should really curtail it and say, hey, not this time. I'm not going to create more stress for myself. I'm not going to run away from my problems. I'm going to cooperatively work this out with the individual I'm in, and we're going to get better here as we go forward. That's what we're trying to empower you to do. And the more you achieve that by not getting upset, the easier it's going to be to start to come together as a team and to actually do the things that are going to balance our world. Now, I say this every time. It's obvious that our world is far from balanced. Our nations are feuding right now. Our climate is deteriorating in front of our eyes, and it's because we've overinvested as individuals and family perspectives. We spent too much time doing this and not enough time doing this. And now, when things are all sideways, we're arguing what the world and the nation should be, but we're not doing anything different in our routines. Now, this is what's going to happen. And this is how easy it is to show you this because space time math connects us to everything. It connects us to our choices. It connects us to how we treat the people around us. It connects us to how we're treating our environment and what our routines, how we invest our time. And if you are investing your time in an unbalanced fashion, then these alignments that we're going to talk about right now are going to help you understand that this is exactly what you're in. And this is why you need to start paying attention. Okay. So there's some super strong alignments that are going to be happening here for multiple days. I warned about this in the last 24 hours, and here it is. 24.5-hour alignment. That's this guy right here, capital M. That's a year frequency, capital E. That's a 6.5 day frequency. This is going to affect the lower quadrants. Left lower quadrant, right lower quadrant. Now, this is obviously stronger. I would expect people to feel more on the left. And I promise you, this E is that's a strong frequency as well. It is going to be very, very likely that we're going to have lots of low back stuff, lots of digestive stuff, lots of urinary bladder stuff, anything that has to do from this part of the body down. I expect quite a few people. In fact, I said we're going to see gait problems, meaning we're going to see people limping, getting tight. I'm already starting to notice it when I was out today, just walking around at the store, taking care of some errands. You can already see it starting to affect people. This is because we've again overbalanced in these two areas, individual and family perspectives. Now, we obviously need to invest in our families and we obviously need to invest in our individual self, but we don't want to overdo this so that we're neglecting our responsibilities here. And if you overdo it, that's going to cause an imbalance as well. And when these frequencies come to test us, it's not going to end well for us. These frequencies are the governing frequencies. They're what's in charge, and these alignments show amplified moments. So, this is a very powerful, long lasting, amplified moment. And this is going to help people understand that, yes, there is unseen energy, and yes, it is affecting our bodies. That's how space time math works. Okay. So, obviously, we have high alert here because we've got polarity moments all over the place. And then, in addition to this, we have this super strong alignment that's going to go on for more than a couple days here. All right. So, you're going to see this in the next 24-hour sequence as well. So, very, very important that you document where you hurt, you document when it hurts, and we can help you with that. You can use our technology, you can get into the inner workings of the exact areas that you would want to start to expand immediately. All right, so let's talk about the next one here. So we've got the ME as well. Same thing, going to the lower extremities. This is an hour and a half. Imagine the time bar is going to roll through here. This is already cranking the heat up, and then this one's going to hit with it. All right, let's look down here as well. So we've got the EE, that's this blue one right here. That's another hour and a half. Again, lower extremity. This 24-hour segment of time, lower extremity is getting worked hard, okay? Now we've got an EE over here as well, capital E, little e. This is 6.5 day. This is 3.5 hour. That's this guy right here. Now, do I expect that we're going to have some people that are going to feel this upper right quadrant? It's possible. But with what's going on down here in the lower quadrants, it's not probable. It's not as likely. Okay. Our bodies are going to really focus in on where they hurt the most. And that's going to be the areas that we're going to really feel it is this lower quadrant. All right, so we're going to kind of work our way through this macro position as well. And it's important to see here that the M's changed position. So in this 24-hour period of time, and we talked about it, that's what we were seeing here with this elevation. This elevation right here and this elevation right here. That was that M change out, okay? So that's what's causing this, and you can see these have moved now. Now because the M's, these are 7.5-day frequency, 7.5-day frequency, 6.5-day frequency. We actually have quite a bit going on in the upper extremities here, okay? So even though the alignments aren't gonna amplify these, I would not be surprised if people's allergies kick up, if they're starting to feel like they're getting a cold, if they're having problems with sight or visual changes. This might be a time where people really start to notice their headaches are being triggered. That is going to be direct hits, and you're going to know that your mental rhythms are what need to be worked on. What is a mental rhythm? Mental rhythm is making sure that you're balancing your physical and emotional choices. And if you're not balancing them, that's going to affect your mental rhythm. And these mental rhythms are going to be tough ones. Why? Because these are in the yellow and the green sections. These demand that we're more mature. Our mature teammates, our mother and fathers, mature teammates, they're supposed to be leaders. They're supposed to be leading the team and bringing the team back together. So if you're not leading the team or inspiring the team, and you're not balancing your choices and making sure that your teams are offering things to the national and world perspective on a daily basis, highly likely you're not going to be enjoying this next 24 hours. Or in this case, this is going to be 7.5 days, 7.5 days. And this one right here has got about 5.5 days left in it. All right. Now, I'm not even going to talk about the lower quadrants. We already know these alignments, they mean business, all right? You're gonna see also that this weather that's coming to our country, but all over the place. Like, if you're watching national news, China's having crazy weather right now. All this stuff is amplifying during this period right here. You're gonna see, all right? That's all I can say about that. All right, so testing structure here, everything's on the table, but much more likely because of these alignments, people are gonna feel things down here. And unfortunately, there is so much going on in this 3-3, 6.5-day sequence. I expect a lot of people are probably going to start to come down with colds, flus, all that kind of stuff, on top of having digestive issues and all that musculoskeletal stuff that's going to get aggravated by these strong alignments. All right, I wish I had good news today. This this is going to be tough, no doubt about it. And you really, as we're struggling with this, not feeling so good, y- you're going to definitely want to not make this worse for yourself by understanding when these polarity moments are. All right, so this was a super long one because, well, it needed to be. Everyone needs to be aware of this. This is going to be tough if you hang in there. That's all I can say. We're going to get through this. We're going to keep posting. We'll see you in the next 24 hours.